Hey guys, Ramblin Bob here again. Okay, so these are the Bluetti PV200 panels that I've acquired 4 of them now. Holy collection, that's 800 watts, 2, 4, 6, 800 watts of solar panels. Okay, now I did a video I think last week, and I tried to do like an average test of what you could get on these bad boys, just kind of flopping them on the ground, not aiming them just completely flat. As you can see, they're flat, but they're kind of well, down south they call it sly goggling. That means they're all this away and that away, and bent around, and so you can see like that one down there, it's kind of this away and that one's this away. But I want to try the average test for the average person that buys this stuff and just flops it on the ground at their campsite, just to kind of see what they would get. All right, so let me walk around this way here. I'll show you how I have them hooked them up, same as last time, except I want to go over it once again, just in case we have any new subscribers or viewers at the channel. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 6, 8 panels. They're all PV200s. I have these 2 connected in what's called series parallel. That's 2 of them together, like one large panel, and then those go down here to these cords, and then those 2 are connected in one large panel, and then those go down here, and then as they're together, they go together, which are known as like either junctions or combiners, okay, or links, or everyone's got a different name for them, but basically it's you put 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 or 4 to 1, or whatever you're running. Okay, so both of the positives are running in this way, and then both of the negatives are running in this way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this bad boy. Let me see if I can do this one-handed. These reviews are tough to do one-handed, guys. Let me set my foot right there, hold that cable. Let me hold this cable. Okay. All right, so MC4s are tough to do one-handed, guys. All right, so now you have this little bad boy, and I'll show you. Hopefully you'll be able to see it this time, boy. But the sun, as you can see, guys, holy crapzilla, it's out today. So I think in the last month, I think this is the best day that we're gonna get for solar. So I thought I'd get my butt out here and try to get some more information or some data. Okay, so use always the source, of course. Okay, and then you're gonna put that one over to this bad boy here. Okay. And of course, try everything at this channel at your own risk. Now, you have to you really want to learn about this stuff well before you start goofing around with it, guys, because electricity can be very dangerous. Okay, so let me see if we can see that here. Okay, so notice they're coming at 46.6 volts, guys. That's awesome. That's awesome, which means it's about about 23 volts per panel. Okay, and there's 4 of them here. All right, so now that we have that coming in, we can unhook, and we know what that is because I need that meter for inside the house. Like I said, these are tough to do one-handed, guys. Ugh. Okay, once I got that, here's my line that's going to run in through the window here. Nothing permanent, just kind of run it through the window to do tests and stuff. And that way we don't have to sit outside in this heat or the sun to melt, basically. Okay, all right, so these are all hooked up. Remember, it's series parallel, 4 panels, PV200s. All right, I'll see you back inside, guys, and then we'll see what we can get as far as numbers. Okay, guys, here I'm back now. I'm in the workshop now, and now we have much better atmosphere as far as the heat, and it's not so bright. Boy, you got to wear shades, right? Okay, so let's see. We got the line coming in here now, and we're going to test this. Don't forget, use the source, of course. Okay, that little rhyme will save your butt, I'll tell you. All right, there you go. And then you plug it in like that, and then notice that we're 46.07. So the voltage only dropped a little bit. It wasn't, I don't think it was bad at all. I'm running it probably about, I would say, oh, let me see, 20, 30, 40, maybe about 40 feet. 40 feet out the window all the way to the driveway, and then those 4 panels are hooked to that. So in total, maybe 40 feet, possibly 45. That way, all the guys with the little pen and papers are keeping notes. That's about how. And this is 12 gauge cable, guys. I highly recommend you do not go under. Remember, I'm not a professional, but I highly recommend you do not go under 12 gauge wire when you do solar runs. I recommend 10 gauge, but it's very expensive, guys. I have a link to the Bouge RV people. They have this really big cable that I use outside, and that's all weather. Is it UV, and it's just everything. It's got all the certifications and everything, MC4s and everything. So that's really good cable, and it's very thick. Okay, but the only bad thing with it is it's hard to roll it up when you do a temporary thing like what I'm doing now. So I use this stuff. This is landscaping cable, and Jason White from his channel turned me onto this stuff, and this is good stuff. This is basically for, say you want to do like lighting around the backyard or something like that, and you run this underground, and you go up to like little tiki lights or something like that around your backyard. It works really good for that. Okay, so we're gonna hook this up. Oh, actually we did already. It's 46 point, I think 06 or 07 it was. So we'll leave that on there. I don't know why I took that off. Use the source, of course. Okay, and then now we got this bad boy. So this is the one that I'm using this power station again because I want the test to be equal to what I had in the last test. Okay, this is Pecron E2000 LFP. All right, and we're gonna hook this guy up here. All right, and that guy, and then what we're going to do is this has a 5-pin aviation cable that's acceptable up to 15 amps, up to 600 watts. Now remember, we have 800 watts of panels on there, and then we'll see what that brings in. All right, on this model, you know, it can be different on every model depending, and that's also a 24-volt battery, guys. So when you get to like my ACOUCOU is a 48-volt panel, battery pack, and then I have this pack run up here. I think it's like a 20. I think it's 22 or 20. You know, every battery pack can be different, guys. So you know your output can vary depending on what unit you have it hooked to. Like I'd love to get a server rack that's maybe like 48 volts, or maybe the new Bluetti AC500, or the Pecron, the new one, whatever is coming out. All right, so look at that. We got power coming in right away, guys. And look, it's a pretty good chunk already. So we're coming in at about 37 working voltage. And look at that, we're 472 already. And remember, oh, 475, still going up, 477. All right, today might be a good test, guys. I think today is the best solar that I've had in, holy crapzilla, probably, it seems to be like a month. I mean, with all the wildfires and everything going on, it's really having a bad day. Hopefully you can see that. I'm trying to get this all on camera here. Until I get my whole workshop organized with filming this stuff. You know, I'm still very new. Lots of stuff I got to learn here. I'm a student too. Don't ever forget that. Okay, so we're almost at 480 watts, and that is for the 800 watts of PV200 panels. Guy, remember, that's just thrown on the ground, guys. That's literally just flopped on the ground, hooked in series parallel, and that's what we're getting. So that's what you can expect to get, at least in my neck of the woods. I'm right in the middle of the country. And that way you know that, you know, if you laid them on top of your camper or RV. I don't recommend you permanently mounting them on an RV or camper or van or anything because, guys, foldable solar panels are very floppy and it's very dangerous. If you drive down the road and they happen to come unhooked, they will either drag behind you or fly off and possibly hurt somebody or injure somebody. So you don't want that. You don't want that. I always recommend rigid panels and properly installed if you're going to use anything on a moving vehicle, trailer, or you know, whatever you have in mind. Just a recommendation. But here we're pulling in almost very close to 500 watts, guys. And like I said, they're not even aimed properly. I just flopped them on the ground. So that, to me, I think that's a very respectful number for what is it? The middle of July here. What's the exact date here? July 7th. And I'm amazed that, you know, the sun that we're finally getting. So I was like, I have to get my butt out here and get more data for this, you know. I feel like in a goofy way, kind of like a scientist now. Anything I could try and figure out, I want to go test it. You know, I wish I could do this all time, all day for the rest of life. This technology's got me hooked, I'm telling you. Okay, so 480, and now what I'm going to do is, now that we know it's very, very solid, we're coming in at 36 point, just a hair under 37 volts, and that's 14 amps. So we're pushing almost the entire input of this port here, which is only 15 amps max. But what I could do is I could put 2 on one side and 2 on the other side, and you know, see what we would get that way. But I don't know if I have enough extra cable here to make 2 runs into the house. Maybe on another test down the road. But just under 37 volts, 14 amps, and that's 516 true watts. Now these are called true watts. I call them true watts because that's what's really coming in. And then of course you lose in the conversion. Remember, this is a 48 volt run, right? And then it has to go down to a 24. So you lose in that conversion here. So if you do buy panels, guys, there's a lot of aspects that you could lose power from. The thickness of the cable, guys, the gauge is not a joke. People are, I see comments all the time, you know, Ramblin Bob, I buy 16 and 18 gauge wire, it's cheaper. Absolutely, it's cheaper, and it's much easier to start a fire. I do not recommend ever going under 12 gauge cable for any solar panel run. That's just my opinion. But you guys, you have to have enough copper to dissipate that heat and to be able to pull those amps through safely. Like I said, Electricity can be very dangerous. It's not a joke. It's not a thing where I hooked it up wrong. Oh, well, you could hook it up wrong and possibly burn down your property. You don't want to do that. Or your car or your battery, you could wreck. It's very dangerous stuff, guys. So just be careful. Learn as much as you can. There's lots of channels out there. Reway Outdoors, Jason, or there's a lot of channels out there that have way more information than I do. And, you know, watch everybody. And as a community, we can all learn this stuff safely together where, you don't have those problems. You know, when I first started solar, guys, I was completely and utterly intimidated by playing with electricity, other than what I know, which is the very basics. You know, you start, you know, hooking up live wires at 80, 90 volts. I mean, you could literally end up in a hospital or even worse. So learn as much as you can, guys. That's what the Scriber family is supposed to be, is all of us get together and learn about this technology so we can all enjoy it together as, and not like together, well, maybe I'll see you at a campsite one day, but, you know, as a team where we can all learn, and then when one of us makes a mistake, it could be a very costly mistake, but when one of us makes a mistake, we all learn from that mistake, and then we say, oh boy, you know, such and such tried that, and it wasn't such a good idea. Ramblin Bob tried this, and it wasn't such a good idea. Well, then we don't do that. See, that's the whole point. I think it's much easier to learn from the mistakes of people than the proper way to do it. I'm a backwards learner that way, and I think there's a lot of people out there that learn the same way. Watch, like, you know, I learned how to cut down trees in my life, and I've cut down many a trees, and I've never been hurt, not once. Knock on wood if I haven't. I don't have any wood. Here, I got some wood down here. Okay, so I'm knock on wood, because, you know, a tree could absolutely end your life in 1 second. It does not take much. Those trees are very man, it's like you really take them for granted. You think, okay, it's just a little branch. Well, that branch weighs 1,000 pounds. You know, it's a full-grown tree. It'll drop on your head, and boom, now you're done. You know, smash your tools, or, you know, whatever. But learn as much as you can about this stuff, guys. Okay, so we're sitting at about 486. It is about 10:38. Remember, I ramble a lot, so I do apologize. I drift off into stories. Here's 487 I just saw. So I think that's a very respectful number. There's 487. Oh, back down. I think that's a very respectful number for just flopping them on the ground, guys. Now, that is a lot of money worth of panels. That's approximately $1,600 right now when they're on sale for 800-watt array of panels like that, and then you have to go set them up whenever you need them. However, imagine having this much power coming in an emergency situation, or anything. I mean, you know, holy cow, the grid's down, or just whatever. That's awesome that you could just flop it on the ground. You don't have to aim it. You don't have to learn how to properly align them, and, you know, get the azimuth and azimuth and all that stuff, whatever it's called for satellites and everything. You know, just to you know, look at the sun, flop it on the ground, say there's the sun, and then here we go. And then you got almost 500 watts coming in on emergency day. Now, this is 8,000 watt hour system right here, so that's obviously going to take a very long time. 2 days to fill that. However, when you're in an emergency situation, I sure as heck will take that 500 watts any day of the week, any day, because that 500, guess what that can run? A small heater, a very small cooker, rice maker. You could run just heating pads. I mean, you can run a ton of stuff, guys, off 500 watts coming in, and then whatever you don't use goes into the battery banks for later that night. I mean, lights, guys, we forget about the most overlooked thing in the world when it comes to emergency. Lights. If you don't have lights in emergency, you are SOL. If you can't see what you're doing and to see how to get out of the situation, guys, well, that's going to hurt, right? Oh, here, look at that, 490. Okay, so it's going up. Maybe I'll let it go for a few more minutes here. 489, 490. And this is at 11 o'clock. Or what I'll do here, this is what I'll do. I'll go outside. Now we know that we can get a very good chunk at 10:30 in the morning off 800 watt array, just flopped on the ground. I'm going to go aim them, like I said, the best you can at the sun. I'm just going to kind of, not like perfect. I'm just going to, you know, like there's the sun, and I'm going to aim at that direction. And we're going to see if that goes up any higher here, or if it stays. Now remember, these are 14 amp inputs, and I noticed that it's right at 15 amp inputs, and this is right at 14. So we might have possibly maxed out this unit as far as what's coming in, as far as the voltage. Now the other power station that I have over there, guys, is the ACOUCOU, and I only have input up to 48 volts, which this would be okay, but I don't like to push that limits of, you know, I like to have a little bit of headroom just for emergencies. That only goes up to 500 watts input, so I think we get the same numbers. See, 491 is going up, so it's continuously going up, but I don't want to have a chance to be locked. This can go all the way up to 600 watts, and that can only 500. So I only have the equipment that I have to work with. And as the channel grows, obviously I get more equipment and things like that, and more opportunities to test different stuff. And then I'll have bigger equipment, and then I can test higher voltage and bigger amps, and, you know, just the whole 9 yards. All right, guys, I'm gonna go swap them, and I'm gonna put them, you know, instead of you know, this way, I'm gonna put them like that. So now that they're aimed at that sun like that. Okay, I'll do the best I can. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, well, we were able to turn them here a little bit. Now I love these panels for one major reason. These kickstands are fantastic, guys. They have a 1 snap, 2 snap, 3 stamps, and then a closing stamp. And the nice thing with that is, guys, is you can preset them to a certain height, and that way you don't have to monkey around. You kind of know that you're ahead of the game right off the bat when you have them on that snap already. So, like, notice this one is on the wrong snap. See, and that's why this one's kind of side goggling over here. And now notice it straightened out that panel better. Now, of course, as you can see, you're never going to get perfect panels. Especially this one, I always thought that was funny that there's no panel on the middle one, on the right middle one. I always thought that was kind of an overlooked thing, but Bluetti either saved money or had their reasons. So, as you can see, when I go flat there, you can see it kind of goes like that all the way down. But now we have 1, 2, and 3, 4. Boy, it's getting hot out here, guys. I'm looking forward to this test. The more information I can get, the better. Okay, so we have, boy, is it hot. Okay, so we have 2 series parallel. As you can see, they're a little bit of side goggling there from my hillbilly folks out there up in North Carolina and stuff like that. Let's see, South Dakota and whatnot. And we're gonna try it out, guys. All right, I'm gonna go inside before I overheat out here. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys, it is a dog of a heat out there. I'll tell you what. Let me plug in my cable here so I can have some energy in my GoPro. These GoPros are pretty nice, but boy, they can eat up some energy quick. But on the other hand, I ramble a lot, and I know that's where most of the power is going. All right, so I hope you're enjoying the reviews, by the way, guys. I really like doing this. Okay, so notice that we're still 37, just under 38 volts coming in. And now they're aimed, not perfect, but better at the sun on that first snap of the PV200 panels. Okay, oh, here's Ramblin Bob Cat. Okay, she says hi. Okay, guys, when I talk to myself in here with these reviews, she thinks I'm talking to another cat and she gets jealous. Okay, so she's gonna wander around here. Now notice that on this system with the single input, we're still stuck at that 14 amps. I believe that this system is even though it says 15 amp input, it's only showing 14. I've never gotten higher than 14 amps on this system. So I wonder if we're bottlenecked there, right? And we're only pulling in, notice it's 496. It was 500 when I first came in, and I couldn't turn on the camera quick enough, but I have a feeling that that's the bottleneck. So now we know that we can definitely get 500 watts with the panels aimed perfectly, or even possibly just flat, right? I'm gonna one up the game, and I'm gonna take this other one here, and I'm gonna disconnect this wire here, and I'm gonna run this one to, if I can, let's see here, I'm gonna take that out here, and we're gonna get another one of these bad boys here. So I ran another cable through the wall here, 12 gauge, and I'm gonna split those lines up, guys, and as you can see, I'm gonna bring them in port 1 and port 2 to see if we can top that 500, because I think we can. I think these are decent panels, so I want to see if and what we can do. All right, guys, I'll be back in 1 second, and remember, these are aimed at the sun now, not perfectly, of course. They're kind of side goggling, but I'm gonna split them. I'll put 2 here in series and 2 here in series, and that'll bring it up to about 30, just under 38 volts on one, and 38 volts on the other, to kind of see what we can get on this system. But remember, every system is different. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Okay, guys, and I'm back. Okay, so I took these bad boys off here, and now they're in series only on one side. So there's 2 panel in series on this channel, and we're bringing in about 282. I wanted to see what the power was on one side before I hook up the other side. Now these are those Bouger cables. Notice how stiff they are, guys. These are well-made cables, very thick, 10 gauge cables with MC4s, of course. And then I put these little things on. You know that little that label thingy that I do, I call it my Martha Stewart machine. You know, she labeled everything on the show. So I put the little negative on there, and on the other one, it's kind of slid down there, but the other one's got a little positive on there, and that way, you know, obviously the red is easy, but, you know, just to double verify, guys, anytime you use solar, you want to check, just to make sure, you know, safety first, seriously, no jokes. Okay, source, of course, right? All right, so you go that way, and then you go this way, and we'll leave this hooked up all the time here. This is heck a good panel, but guys, it's hard to work with. As you can see, it's very spaghetti, but it's very, very tough compared to Jasonoid's Secret, which is see how easy that winds up real nice. But this stuff is better for permanent or you know, stuff that where you're going to get inspected or called on. So you want to use, you know, proper line. But if you're just going camping, guys, I think this would be fine. I really do. I would use it. I use it now. So okay, let's see. And now we're bringing in 46.1, and then that one was bringing in, let's see, that one's bringing in, whoop, the other side. Well, it's actually, well, 36, but here, let me, I forgot that's open voltage, guys. We're looking for open voltage here, so we're going to disconnect that one real quick and dangle it. And now this is bringing in 46.39 on this pair, and this is bringing in 46.14 on that pair. Now, the reason they're different, it's obvious reasons. Either, you know, no two panels are perfect, and no two angles are perfect. So, you know, this one is probably aimed a little bit less than this one is. So, you know, it's simple. Okay, so now we have the answer to that. Let's plug this one back in. Let's get some free power coming in, guys. That's what I'm all about. Free power. Woohoo! All right. So we're going to put that there. And we need another of these bad boys here, okay? And like I said, it's different on every system. Every system you try, the input is going to be different. It's just the way the electronics are, and the MPPT controllers, and the bliss, and blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all that stuff is going to be different, guys. All right, so now we got this bad boy hooked up here, and notice the thickness of these cables compared to these. It's a huge difference between 12 and 10 gauge, plus all that insulation that comes on here. All right, so we're 283 on one rack here, and then we're going to do the other series here, if I can get in here. Boy, these cables, you guys ever have that spaghetti nightmare? That seems like every day now here at the workshop is you got spaghetti nightmares going on everywhere. All right, so notice that power just jumped a lot. Look at that, 534, guys, 555. All right, now we're doing it. Now this is what the panels are supposed to do. It is approximately 11:20 in the morning. But now notice that we took, so obviously that was the problem, is the bottleneck. I believe that this system can only bring in 14 amps, or at least my system with my MPPT controlling boards and BMS and everything can only input 14. Now notice that we dropped the amps down to 8.4 and 8.4 respectively, right? So if you add that up, that's almost 17 amps you're bringing in, but you split it on 2 runs. Now that does 2 things. Number one, it makes you be able to push that power up, because if you were bottlenecked, now you can pass that 14 that we were bottlenecked, and we brought 1.5 amps each in over the bottleneck that we had. So instead of bringing in 14, you know, we're bringing in 17. That's the yeah, 1.4 per side. It's 3 amps higher, guys. And you take the 3 amps and times it by 35 volts, and you know, there's, look at that, yeah, extra power, right? So it would be, let's see, 300 true watts and 304. So you're bringing in an actual 600 plus watts right now off 800 watt panel array. And remember, these are foldable panels. You'll never get them perfect. I don't care who you are and what you do with them, unless you know, take a one solid surface and bolt them to it. And not even then, I don't think, because, you know, no two panels are the same. But 800 watts of solar panels in 2 different arrays now, 1 series and 1 series. And now we're getting more than what we were getting before by 100 watts, guys. That's a significant difference. So if you do have a bottleneck problem in a system, learn about your system first and where your weaknesses are. Like, say if you were whatever, say you were a boxer, right? And you know that your left side is more vulnerable than your right side. Well, you turn your left side away from your opponent, of course, because obviously that's the side that's going to hurt a lot more easy than the right side. So as soon as you have the all your data and you find out, well, that's bottleneck here or there, that's the weak part. You know that TV show, You're the Weakest Link? Well, you find out what the weakest link is, guys, and work on that. That should be your main concern or your main objective for your testing is, you know, if you know that you can't get enough power out of this cable, well, split them and see if you can get more power out of 2. Just don't put them together, of course. So let's see, we're getting about 100 watts more. It's 1120. I think that's probably, I'm guessing, probably the most that we're going to see on these panels today. There's a little bit of haze, but it's the best day that I've seen for solar in probably, possibly a month. I mean, it's, you know, with the wildfires and everything, it's crazy out there. And then you got, I live in a very big city, so obviously you have you know, problems of being in a city too. I'm glad I don't live in California. No disrespect to anyone out there, but boy, you guys have smog over your city like every day. Probably Chicago too. And you know, there's areas now that the cities are getting so darn big with all the you know, pollution or whatever's going on, and who knows. But that's one of the reasons that I wanted to get into this stuff, is just in case if there was a grid drop or anything. Self-reliance and safety, guys. That was the thing. The first system that I bought like this, I wanted to be able to have 2 or 3 powers outside when needed. Well, I far surpassed that, and I promise you, if you start this, you will never stop. It is a never-ending game. You'll end up with a channel of your own. I can assure you that. I mean, I've seen people that bought one of these systems or one of those systems. And they have channels now, because they bought a system. That's what I did, and I never intended to do that. Never expected to do that. I go back and watch the first video, and I'm like, guys, look, I'm not a reviewer. I'm not a professional guy. I just bought some technology, and I found out something that no one else knew at the time. So it turned into a whole flipping channel, guys. Holy crapzilla! All right, so check it again. We got 580. I don't think it's going to go any higher. What I'll do is I'll pause it for about a half an hour, the video, even though I don't like to pause. Like I said, I don't like pause videos, but at least I let you know they're coming. I like to see real time. But I don't want this video to be like 5 hours, because all my videos are very long, because I ramble about everything. I'm kind of like the Bob Euchre of the review channel, I guess. I'll take it. That'd be a huge compliment. Or the Harry Carey. You guys remember Harry Carey? That's just Harry Carey. You remember that guy from the Cubs? Man, what a legend. Okay, my favorite was the Bob Euchre guy from the state of Wisconsin over there. What did he play? The Milwaukee Brewers with the. I think he was on the Braves back in the days, and he was like a catcher, and remember he was at like WrestleMania. I mean, that guy's a legend in himself. Okay, anyway, let's pause the video, and then what we'll do is we'll wait maybe a half hour more, and then I'll pop it back on, and if that number is the same, then we know that on this particular setup, on that particular design, as far as how they are, that's the most that you can expect out of there, and that's about 75% we're at now, just a hair under 75%. 600 would be 75%. So we're gonna see what it does. All right, guys, I'll be back. Okay, guys, last part of the video. So I saw it go as high as 600, and that's the converted watts, and I saw it go as high as 650 watts on the true watts if you added, let's see, this 310 it was, and 314, that's 625. Boy, my brain. 625. When you deal with numbers all day, guys, holy cow, you can get tongue-tied. I saw that go as high as 650. It's about just before noon right now, so I waited about a half an hour. I don't think it's going to get any better than now. I do see clouds kind of coming in. Unfortunately, with solar, you get what you can take. But even at 650, that's about a respectfully 80-85% of the rated output as far as the true watts. And then converted watts, guys, I saw this go as high as 600, and 600 is 75% rated of the panels. Now, of course, like I said, it's going to affect what system you have it hooked to, or what controller you have it hooked to, or what battery pack, or what configuration of battery pack, whether, it's 12 volt, 24, 48, or, whatever you're running there. I think 48 volt is better for RVs, and I think 24 is better for smaller things. But the 48 is easier because you have to push a higher voltage, and you don't have to strain the batteries as hard when you put it up to 240 or something like that. The higher voltage to starting. In a perfect world, if you want to use 32 volts, you should have it'd be nice to have a 32 volt battery pack, but nobody uses 32 volts. But I'm just using that as a reference, kind of. If you want to pull out 120 volts to use on your machines, if you had a 120 volt battery pack, that'd be awesome, because there's no conversion loss really. It's a very clean flow. Now notice, see that dropped down a lot, guys, and the amps dropped down. So obviously there's, speaking of the devil, that's the clouds that I was talking about that are rolling in now. And this dropped down to 135 watts, and that dropped down to 140 watts. And I'm going to take a peek out the window just to verify here. Yep. Okay. So the sun is definitely coming down. The panels are still fine, but see, geez, look, guys, look at this. Holy crapzilla. My timing is almost too perfect. It's scary. The second I looked out the window, literally, I saw the cloud come in. It looked like it was like a shady, and next thing you know, boom, look at it. It's going back up. And there's my time again, guys. Seriously. Okay, so now it's falling back down again, and now it's going back up. Okay, well, that's solar for you. So that's what to expect on solar, guys. So, don't expect, you put solar panels out there, and you have a perfect sun 24 hours a day, or, wherever you live for so many hours. It just doesn't happen, guys. So that's why these real world tests are so important, because then it takes the shock value away from when you buy something and go, hey, that's a 200 watt panel. I want 200 watt. It's not going to happen, guys. In a perfect world, it would, obviously, in a scientific laboratory or something like that. or if you got lucky, obviously the more heat that you create on the panels, the hotter they get, the lower the output comes, because you're overpowering the panel, kind of. You know, if you're on a freeway with your car and you're really pushing it and going 150 miles an hour in your car, which is not recommended, by the way, obviously your car is going to, unless it's, you know, designed for that, your car is going to have some trouble, because it's like, you know, why are you pushing me so hard? You know what I mean? But I think that's a very fair one. I think I'll end it here. I think that's a very fair test. So we got about 80 or 85% rated true watt power from the panel, which I think that's respectable. I always like to see 100, guys. I always like to see 100. But, you know, you're not going to get it in every situation, or possibly any situation for that matter. And then converted, I think we got about 75% converted to a 24-volt battery pack. So at least you have just a little bit more information. Remember, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a professor. I'm not a teacher. Guys, I'm a fellow that bought some stuff and fell in love with it. That's the bottom line. And these reviews are just absolutely almost as addicting as the technology itself, because I ramble about it so much that my cat just stares at me, because my cat thinks I'm talking to the invisible man in the room. So, guys, you're the invisible man. Okay. So, see, cat, I'm not crazy. I told you. All right. My cat's looking at me again, so I got to go. All right, guys. Well, I hope this helped you guys as far as more information. I just want to put out everything you can to kind of help you. If it's right for you, it is. If it's not, it's not. It is what it is. All right, guys. Ramble on. Be safe, and I'll see you again at Ramblin Bob Reviews. Bye.